To glaze, you will need to thin your paints beyond the usual 50-50, typically down to a 30-70 paint to water ratio, though you may want to experiment with your preferred mix. It is used as a way to creating smooth blends between layers, and as a colour filter to restore the original tone if the paint loses saturation. This is a light science explanation. Acrylic paint is made up of 3 core ingredients: pigment, binder, and vehicle. Pigment is the tiny granules of colour. Binder is an acrylic polymer emulsion that holds the pigment together. Vehicle is the liquid element that allows the paint to flow. Putting it in a simple way, the colour floats around in a liquid. When it is applied, the fluid will air dry and evaporate, leaving the colour pigment sealed onto the surface. Introducing water or paint thinning medium changes this process. It will spread the pigments lightly across the liquid. When dried, the colour will be thinly distributed. With this translucent version of your chosen paint, you will need to apply multiple layers of each colour to achieve full opacity. This is where glazing differs from layering. With the science out of the way, let's take a look at the tools you will be using. It's time to get your good brushes out. Glazing is a lot kinder than layering and dry brushing. Clean water or paint thinner medium such as Warhammer medium by Citadel or Glaze medium by Vallejo. A clean sheet of kitchen towel. To prolong your glaze mixture, I do recommend a wet palette. You can buy one or make one yourself. For this exercise, I'll be using an Army Painter wet palette, the Army Painter Wargamer brushes, and Vallejo model color paints. Though you should use what you have at hand. Don't go out of your way buying paints and brushes on my recommendations. Try to stick to what is available to you in your local hobby store. With all that waffling on out of the way, let's begin. First, place a blob of paint on your palette. This will be your undiluted supply at hand. Place a small pool of water off to the side. This will be your reservoir of water to use for the mixture. With a damp mixing brush, take 1 scoop of paint and place a dot of it away from the main supply. Take a couple of drops of water and mix. You will instantly see the paint thin. The goal is to get a consistency to a translucent version of the colour, but not to a dirty paint water look. Saying that, the dirty paint water dilution is not a bad thing. It just means you'll have to apply a few extra coats. This is not ideal to begin with, but when you have the hang of glazing, it can be a useful tool. With your glazing mixture ready, it's time to lift some paint. Rotating your bristles, pull the brush through the mix. This will also keep the tip sharp. Gently touch the tip onto a sheet of kitchen towel. The capillary action of kitchen towel will absorb the excess paint. This is an important step as you don't want to flood the model with liquid. The first application of your glaze will barely be visible. It will take a few layers. Depending on your dilution, this may take a few more layers than expected. When you apply the paint, it will gather under the tip as you pull it. The paint will thinly be distributed until you lift the brush. This is where the largest amount of pigment will be deposited. It is important to understand this as it will greatly help you as you use a glaze. Because of the thin nature and its requirements for multiple coats, it is easy enough to get a smooth blend. The number of layers will also depend on what colours you choose. Naturally, lighter colours will take more effort over darker. This is the decreasing method. Start at point 1 and pull the brush to point 10. Allow it to dry. On your next pass, start at point 2 or even 3 and pull the brush to point 10. Repeat this decreasing step until you have the desired coverage and a smooth transition. Another way to achieve this blend is the seesaw method, a back and forth of 2 colours. Like the decreasing method, start off at point A and pull to point 10. If you choose, reapply another coat to get a stronger visual of your colour before moving on to the next step. with the opposite colour or shade start at point 10 and glaze over to point 1. With this back and forth, repeat the steps in a decreasing method. Stippling. For this method, you will lift the paint in the same way, with a dab on a towel to remove excess. This time, starting with your darkest mixture, you will gently dot the brush tip, covering the surface area you will be painting. If you are using a dirty paint water dilution, you will be here for a long time. The aim is to cover the area with lots of tiny dots, then continue with a lighter shade, only on a smaller area, taking in mind the shape of the model. Keep doing this with as many different layers as you desire, until you see a smooth blend appear. And that's the completed Eldar Fire Dragon, done only using glazing. Thoroughly enjoyed this experience and I hope you learned from it. If you know anyone who will like to learn these techniques, share this with them. For this video I used the Zorn palette. A bit foolish of me since I've never used it before, but you need to push your boundaries and see what you can learn. I will cover the Zorn palette again, but I'll get my head around it a bit more. The next beginner-friendly video will be about sub-assembly. Not 100% sure when that's coming out, because I would like to do this painting a model for a friend. And St. David's Day is coming up, so I'd like to do a Welsh-themed model. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And until the next video, thank you for watching and take care.